Hello, I am Devina, and hello to all of you bold, beautiful, brilliant, and evolving souls. And I just also want to remind you today that what you're doing is really a remarkable and momentous, I don't know the right word, a phenomenal thing that you're doing. You are a forerunner of human evolution. And as painful as what you're going through is, um, you are the beginning of, a new human reality, a new way of someday. Of course, this is going to take, I don't know, thousands of years if we're still around on the planet. But anyway, today's topic is how healing works and how I see how healing works and why healing is so maddening. So I believe basically what happens, when we're being emotionally and psychologically abused, is that we, of course, are collecting all of these, not collecting, but like we are like absorbing all of these wounds from our parents. So it's in our energetic, emotional body, whatever that is. So we have these thousands and thousands of wounds, of course, depending on how long your abuse lasted and, the severity of it. And also, I think the difference between how evolved your soul is and how evolved your parents' soul is. And the greater the distance that is, the greater your pain and trauma will be. So that's why trauma can affect people differently. And so we end up with, of course, carrying around all this pain in our subconscious, whatever that subconscious, unconscious part of ourself is. And it's partly like in our physical body and in our emotional body. And these wounds, we carry them until our soul decides, or however it works, that it's ready to process this pain and let it go. And I think that, it's kind of just an organic thing. I don't even know, like, how exactly, why some people heal earlier, some people heal later, and it just happens when you're ready to have it happen, to have that healing occur. And so, a big thing that I've shared before is getting safe and getting sober. And these are the two hugest things, and creating spaciousness. If I want to make it three things, sober, safety, and spaciousness, that can begin your healing journey because your body suddenly goes, ah, and there's no addictions there to suppress everything. And so it will just naturally, and when you have space and you're like space in terms of physical space, but also in terms of like space in your day. So you're not constantly going from one activity to the other. So when you reduce distractions and you have the time to just sit and feel, those feelings are going to come up if you're, in a safe place and sober. So, and so once you create those conditions, then those feelings start to naturally just sort of bubble up to the surface. Wherever they've been buried, they start coming up closer to the surface. And then what happens is we subconsciously attract the trigger that we need in order to heal that wound that is starting to come to the surface. So it's like suddenly like the band-aid is sort of coming off, and then the wound is saying, I want to be, I want to let go of this pain. And it's not fun though. It's maddening, right? To think that we are just subconsciously attracting, if you have anger, then you attract maybe an abusive boss or something. And then that will free, it's really like kind of freeing these wounds from your body, from your subconscious. It's so hard to explain. What is the subconscious? It's partly mind, partly body. And so that trigger is then bringing that feeling. And if you feel that feeling, if you're able to sit in that anger and rage that's coming to the surface, then you will be able to heal it and let it go. That's how we release and process those feelings. And it can be, I think I've seen it through, for me, both ways are through actually obviously just crying, crying through the whatever it is, the anger and the grief and the shame and the terror. You can just cry it out. Or if you can't, maybe cry it out. Sometimes I think even just sitting with it, and I think Pete Walker describes this, just sort of sitting with it with awareness and just being aware that it's there. It somehow is can be sort of dissolved that way, or sort of like metabolized in some way. So those feelings are once you like you just sit through it without trying to um, without trying to fix it or change it or anything. I think that's a key thing, is that there's really nothing to fix here. Everything is rooted in the emotional pain. All our mental problems are rooted in the emotional pain. So when we heal the emotional pain, the mental stuff naturally will start to change, and you'll start to have healthier thinking because the feelings are no longer there. Like the fear that drives us to people please, once we start feeling and healing that fear, then the people pleasing is going to be less, and we'll start finding it easier to set those boundaries and things. So um yeah, I think it's really about, it's so the healing of the emotional pain is the bulk of the work. And of course there is a lot of mental sort of what I call mental wrangling and mental, like, just working this out. Like, I'm constantly talking out loud in my apartment, like just working things out, like whatever's coming up in my mind is just a free flow of my consciousness of just blah 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 blah, blah. Like sometimes it's often anger, frustration, just like voicing what's going on for me, and trying to work things out, because our minds have been so messed up, from our narcissistic parents, and we have to sort of like untangle that mess. Like, it takes a lot of work. Um, so healing can be extremely just frustrating and maddening, and you wonder like, oh, why am I attracting this narcissist again? And it's so like, oh God, you just want to like scream, or you want to like, like, I don't know, like, you know, pound your fist on a table or something. You just like, it's just absolutely maddening, because you're just like, why did I? And I just find like, yeah, and you can see after you've gone through it, you can see, okay, that brought me all this wonderful healing. But when you're going through it, it's just like hell, like bringing up all the, like real like anger and rage and deep like terror, like real terror, like afraid for your life terror, and intense shame, like, oh, just like such intense shame, and hopelessness, like just feeling suicidal, like so all these really intense, and excruciating feelings start like coming to the surface, and they want to go, they want to be released. And so that's why we end up somehow getting these triggers. And I don't know exactly how it works, but as I said, I think it's somehow subconscious, and also somehow the universe or the divine or whatever this supreme soul is, that's we're sort of working together somehow to like make these realities happen so that we can heal. And I think the only purpose of life is healing and awakening and evolving. And so we can get really down on ourselves and thinking like, oh, I'm not succeeding, I'm not flourishing, and oh, I get so like frustrated with this. Um, but you are succeeding. And then when we see everything is like at a spiritual level, like an energetic level, you are doing the only work that is important here, that is important on this planet, because this planet is just to evolve us, to heal us and awaken us. And yeah, it is, yeah, something that is. I don't know, like the pain can be just unfathomable. It's just unfathomable that, two people that call themselves parents can unleash that much pain on on a child. But yeah, yeah, it is just it's a really horrible, horrible thing. And healing is a really hellish thing to go through. And maddening is absolutely maddening because even though like I get frustrated because I've set boundaries so many times, like this is what I want, and this is what I want in a job, and I want this and I want that, and I know exactly what my needs are. I can label like 20 needs, this is exactly what I need in my job. And then when I don't get it, and then I end up getting a job anyway, that's just like trigger after trigger after trigger, and of course the triggers are the flashbacks, like the trigger causes the flashback. And as I've said before in other videos, I believe I'm in a flashback all the time, and right now. And like even at the beach yesterday, I was feeling like, the flashback had gotten a bit lighter, and it almost felt like, oh wow, I'm actually smiling, like almost like a natural smile. But then I sensed in, and there's still fear there. It's subtle. It can be so very subtle. Um, so pay attention, always be paying attention to those, even like the small, even if it seems small, because I know sometimes I'm in denial and I'm thinking, it's not that bad. I don't know why I'm complaining. My emotional pain isn't so bad today. Um, and yet, you know, it can be and often is like the pain is really, really strong. And so, yeah, just getting out of the like pattern of saying it's not that bad because it is that bad. And yeah, I've been doing this for 7 years. Like I just can't believe that there's just more and more and more pain. Um, but so that's how I kind of see healing working, is that we have the emotional wounds in our bodies, and in our bodies, in our minds, in this subconscious place, and they're being triggered subconsciously somehow. That feeling is coming up to the surface. We experience it as a flashback. We're flashing back, decades or whatever, emotionally and viscerally, then re-experiencing what we went through in our childhood. So we went through our childhood not feeling a thing, just surviving, repressing everything. And now, when you get to the healing part, you're experiencing that hell. And so that's why it feels like a living nightmare. Um, and hopefully, yeah, if this can make you anyway, just validate that what you're going through is it's real. These are real feelings. And I've said before too that it's like these feelings are real, but they're not true. So whatever you're going through, like really validate those feelings. They're real feelings that you had as a child. Um, and it might seem unreasonable. I don't want to use the word unreasonable, but it is reasonable. It is definitely reasonable because what you went through was abuse. So it might even seem like the trigger is not a big deal, but it is a big deal. So also don't minimize those things, because something small can seem really, really big to a child. Something, you know, um, yeah, it can seem like chaotic, overwhelming, or whatever. Just validate, validate, validate. Um, yeah, I hope this yeah, brought you some validation and insight today. And just, hold on. If you're having one of those days, just hold on. If you're having one of those weeks or one of those months that just like feels like an endless hell, just hold on, because it does keep changing. And that's one thing you can hold on to, is that maybe you're going to get a little break. And it does get lighter, and it is so freaking slow. So if you think, am I doing something wrong here? You're not doing anything wrong. And anyway, in my experience, it is that freaking slow and gradual. So you're not doing anything wrong. And there's nothing to fix, because, yeah, you're beautiful as you are. Thank you for being here. As always, I appreciate your comments and your shares below. So thank you for watching.